Video, Purple Political Talk here, and today we're going to be going through the 2020 presidential election and my predictions. So, before we begin, a lot of things have changed since my last prediction, and we're just going to take those things into account. So, let's begin by filling in our safe states for the Democratic Party. At this point, I think the Republican Party should start to get really worried. I mean, a week ago you could have asked me and I would have told you, yeah, they should be worried. At this point, they should get really worried. Now, there's a couple things that the Republican Party can do to change. But again, that is all dependent on what they choose to do. Which, I kind of made a video about that with Trump's silent majority and how the Republicans can come back. So if you guys want to see more content like that, please go check it out. Now we're moving into our Republican safe states. And honestly, not much has changed with the regular safe states, I guess, because we have lost a lot of states that were not safe before, but now are. And I think we have to add a couple states to this list of states that are not going to be super safe by the 15-point margin. That is the cutoff for being a safe state. And those two new states are going to be South Carolina and Mississippi. And honestly, it's no question that those two states have been trending more and more Republican over the time. I'm missing a state. I don't know what I'm missing. And oh yeah, those two states. So honestly, those two states are going to be one of the states that are in the future going to have a chance of going into and becoming likely states, lean state, tilt state, and even flip to the Democratic Party. And now going into, this is going to be our start of a map. These are going to be somewhat competitive races. I'm not saying that Democrats are going to get 1 point away in the state of South Carolina, because before pigs fly, this time around is not going to happen. Maybe in 10 years, maybe. 20 years, maybe. But as of right now, today, I don't see it happening. But anyways, let's just get in and fill in our Democratic likely states. At this point, states that were supposed to go to Democrats by at least likely margins are probably going to go for the Democrats. I'm going to start with, because there's like two big sections. It's this one and then another section of likely states. So with the Democrats, I think all the states that Hillary Clinton won are going to go by likely margins. So, for the ones that were swingish. So look, Nevada, Colorado, we have Latino population, very urban populations, going out and voting for the Democratic Party. Virginia, you have the suburban vote, which, could change. It's something we should look at. But at the end of the day, remember that the suburban population, the only reason they would get mad is if something very crazy happened to them. And we could see this happen considering how crazy 2020 has been. But still, I don't see it happening. And with the state of Minnesota and pretty much the rest of the Rust Belt, we can see that Joe Biden, although he might not be the most influential, the most charismatic candidate, he is a candidate that brings hope to these people. He was once part of the working class, his family was, and he grew up in Pennsylvania, he moved to Delaware. He knows what these people are going through because he has a lot of constituents that have lived through the same things, and he has that appeal. When it comes to VP, so like with the VP factoring, I don't think that's probably not going to change a lot, but still, it might go in, and I think I'm going to go through that at the end of the video. And now, okay, so these are all the states that I think will go by a likely margin for the Democratic Party. And now we're going to move on to the likely states for the Republican Party. At this point, we have a couple. So, first of all, I'm going to go with the state of Texas. The state of Texas, well, the two new inductees to the Hall of Swing States, and it's pretty much it. These three states, those other two shouldn't be a question, like, if it's going to be likely. If you're pushing it a little bit into the likely column, you're not going to push it all the way to 5%, to 3%. No. These states are going to narrow down probably to 10 points. But remember, 10 points is still in the likely margin. So at the end of the day, those states will probably don't have a problem. When it comes to the state of Texas, some people are saying it could go by lean margin. I could see it. But most realistically, I think right now it's going by 5 points. And the reason for that is that, remember, with the state of Texas, it got close. Yeah, in the Senate race, it did. But remember also another thing. That Joe Biden's not only running for president of Texas. He's running also for the president of New Mexico, Arizona, California. All these different places that Joe Biden needs to focus on. And at the end of the day, I don't think focusing on a state like Texas would be too good for him. I mean, he could try, but then that's just wasting your time and money. So, honestly, at this point, the state of Texas is looking like it's going to be in the likely margin, probably 5 to 6 points. And there's a very good Trump base there, as well there's a Biden base there. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to go to the Trump campaign by around 10%. So this is all of our Republican likely states. So let's move on to our Democratic lean states. So at this point, states like Arizona are looking like it will go by a lean margin, my bad. And I think this state is going to be very important and crucial. Because, okay, we're talking about the Southwest Sun Belt, which is pretty much one of the most important places that where elections are going to be fought, the Sun Belt. And I made a video about that. But look, the Sun Belt is going to be extremely fought, not only in this election, but in the elections that are to come. We're over the days where states like Iowa and Ohio are going to be the crucial swing states, and the Midwest is going to be where all the elections are fought. Now it's going to become a Sun Belt where it's growing constantly, and you're having a lot of people move there. And the state of Arizona, they don't like Donald Trump there. He does have his support, like everyone does. I mean, and you also have like the support for border and everything else. But still, Arizona is one of those places that's very moderate. There have some conservatives and diehard conservatives for that, but still, they're very moderate and they know how to work by partisanship and all things. While they have a governor that's Republican, they have a senator that's Democratic, and they have a majority Democratic representation in the House of Representatives. So, at the end of the day, Arizona is looking like it would go to Joe Biden by around 3 to 5 points. I don't see any going more than that. I mean, if we're talking like a Senate race where Mark Kelly's doing amazing, yeah, we can be talking about likely margins and safe margins even. But right now, I think it's looking good for Joe Biden. It's probably going to stay in the lean column. And now, let's go over to the state of North Carolina. This point in time, I feel like the state of North Carolina will go to Joe Biden by around 2 points. And the reason for that is that we have a lot of these urban areas who, yeah, they used to have a lot of population before in 2016, but now they have more population. Areas like Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, and other big cities like Greensboro in North Carolina, they're growing at a rapid rate. And that's very interesting because we see how these cities having tech booms, I guess. A lot of tech companies are moving to North Carolina, and that usually brings a lot more Democratic vote. Along with high minority turnout in the 2020 election, we could easily see the state of North Carolina go by a comfortable margin of 2 to 3 points to the Democratic Party. Now, am I calling it from now it's all going to be like this? This map is not set in stone. And that is why I do a lot of updates to my predictions. And honestly, I don't think the state of North Carolina would always be in the lean column. It could go down to a tilt column, or it could even flip, but we will see in time. And I think we're only going to get our very clear predictions of who's going to win the election maybe 2 days before election day. And that's important because then we have more data to analyze, we have more things to look at, and we can see the patterns of who we're leading here 2 months ago and things like that. Now, moving on to our Republican lean states, let's just go and fill in a couple states. Right now, the state of Iowa is not looking so good for the Democratic Party, and I mean, they honestly do have a chance. Because everyone has a chance, even though you might be the most radical Democrat in the state of Wyoming where they love radical Republicans, who knows, you still have a chance of winning the election. Now, we're talking a low chance. A chance is a chance. And in the state of Iowa, they don't have a low chance. They have a pretty good chance. It's looking like probably like I would give it a 75% Republican, 25 Democrat chance. It's still a chance. And honestly, I think the only way that Joe Biden could win the state is by having a very good running mate that could appeal to the Iowan voter. Whether it be appealing heavily to the African American community, whether it be heavily appealing to some of the college voters, whether it be heavily appealing to the old people that live in the state of Iowa, whether it be appealing to the farmers, whether it be to the people who are in rural communities. Those are the communities that are made up in the state of Iowa. And if Joe Biden wants a chance to win there, he has to focus on those communities. Another state that I think is kind of in the same boat as the state of Ohio. Yes, there is a chance for Joe Biden there, and some polls show him leading. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical of putting it in the Joe Biden column for one reason. And that is that I honestly feel that this state is made up of too many Republicans that are diehard supporters. Yes, there is a huge base for Democrats in Ohio, and there is a Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. But the thing is that you also have these rural areas that are growing rapidly with conservative voters in the state of Ohio. And I mean, Joe Biden, to win this election, he's going to have to swing a couple of points. I mean, like 5 points, because Obama won all of these places, a lot of these places, Iowa and Ohio, North Carolina, Indiana, and then Hillary Clinton lost them. Why? Because she didn't appeal to those voters, which is technically one, the working class voters, which at the end of the day, there is some in the state of Ohio, and although Joe Biden could take back some of them, I think the big majority will stay a little bit with Donald Trump, just because how the state... If we're talking about working class voters in the state of Wisconsin or Michigan, it's a different type of voter than the working class voter in the state of Ohio. They're a little different, and I think that little difference make them stay a little bit with Donald Trump. So at the end of the day, I think the state of Ohio will go narrowly to Donald Trump. And the 2 districts up here, I mean, it shouldn't be no question that they're going to go by lean margins. At this point, like, these 2 districts, I mean, especially the one in Maine, it's more rural. They haven't seen as big impacts with coronavirus. They haven't seen big impacts with the Black Lives Matter protests. And maybe that kind of isolation from all these events could easily help them for the Republican Party to win them, for Donald Trump. And in the rest of the 2nd congressional district, it takes a really good candidate for a Democrat to win there. Yeah, you have the big cities there, Omaha and Lincoln, but again, you also have the rural areas surrounding the city. I mean, honestly, if I were a Democrat, I would be focusing on the Rust Belt, Arizona, and the South. And I think that's what they're going to do. And now we're going to move into our tilt states, and there's only 2, I guess at this point. State of Georgia, actually no, I'm going to put this in the lean column. The lean column is going to be with the state of Georgia. I mean, at this point, yeah, Republicans are having a good shot at it. They're not losing it, but still, I think it's going to be a bit closer than people might have expected. Probably 2 to 3 points. Are we going to see a super, like, heated race that's going down to the last vote? No. We're going to see a race probably go to, well, but maybe 50,000 votes. 100,000 votes. And at the end of the day, that really matters. But the last state is going to be the state of Florida, and that is our tilt state. At this point in time, I think the state of Florida is looking good for the Republican Party. And this is a tough race to call, and I think if Republicans end up winning here after everything, it's going to be pretty good. But I think they're going to win by a narrow margin. It's going to be one of the closest, if not the closest race of the 2020 presidential election. So people make a couple points when talking about the state of Florida. The felon voters, kind of the people that are flipping, like the elders that live there. And I'm just going to rebuttal a couple of these things because I know a lot about Florida politics. So first of all, I'm going to say that the state of Florida, I mean, the Trump base is very big in areas where there's suburbs and with this Hispanic vote. Because remember, the state of Florida is not the same Hispanics that lives in Arizona. They're not the same Hispanics that live in Colorado. They're a different type of Hispanic. And that really does matter. It's like the same thing that happened in the state of Ohio and Michigan, the same comparison. Since these Hispanics that live in the state of Florida, for the most part, are coming from places where you see governments that are very oppressive with like the First Amendment rights and things like that. Those people are going to go heavily for the Republicans. And yeah, Donald Trump had that base in 2016, and it's kept to continue to grow. And honestly, I mean, the only saving grace for Joe Biden for him to win there would be the African American communities, which most definitely he can pull off if he chooses someone like Val Demings and all the other minority communities. And if he can flip a big part of the elder vote, maybe he could get close, and it could get a little closer. He does have a chance of winning it. I think this is going to be a 50-50 statistical tie for probability and election day. But still, I feel like Donald Trump has a narrow chance. I mean, and narrowly will win the state of Florida. So, this is my prediction. 234 for the Republicans and 304 for the Democrats. And honestly, this might be changed if we see a different, if we choose the VP. If we have Elizabeth Warren on a ticket, maybe we could see states like Ohio flip or Iowa flip. If we have a Val Demings, maybe Florida could flip. And if you pick someone that's horrible, I mean, if you pick, who knows, if you pick, I don't know, whatever. If that candidate, if he picked Amy Klobuchar, for example, that would ruin your chances at the Rust Belt and other places around the country. So VP choice matters, and all these things matter for the Democratic Party. Donald Trump has the election pretty much done for him. Is it officially done? No. But there's a very high chance that he loses the election completely. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not yet so. And we're going to do a lot of more interesting things with our channel. And we're going to continue to grow. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching and this prediction. And goodbye.